So once again, for tracking, there's a couple of different tracking exercises that you can do at Aim Labs. And again, you don't need to use Aim Labs. You don't need to use Kovacs. You can use the practice range as well. But these are just an examples of simulated environments that are going to help you with your tracking. What we're going to talk about today is why tracking might even be relevant in a game like Valorant. So Valorant, compared to other games, like maybe games with a higher time to kill, something like Apex, you're not going to need tracking nearly as much, right? In Apex, you're doing a lot of tracking because it takes a whole magazine to be able to kill a target. But in Valorant, you could kill a target in one bullet, so it feels like flicking would be a lot more important. And many have even said or tried to say that tracking isn't important at all in a game like Valorant. I believe that this isn't really true at all. And there's a couple of reasons for this. So, for example, a type of tracking like this, I don't really feel like most players are doing all of the time, right? Now, when you're tracing an angle, you're going to trace it a lot better if your tracking is better. So, say, for example, I'm aiming at the corner of an angle and I'm like walking around it, right? Tracking is going to help with that. It's going to help keep your crosshairs steady as you're tracking around the corner. And that way, it'll be easier for you to hit your shot in your game. Another opportunity for you to use the tracking is something with like Valorant's newest agent, Neon. With her ultimate, it does have a bit of a time to kill. It takes a few seconds. So sometimes when you swing a target, you have to be able to track them as you're doing that. And one last example of how tracking might be applicable, or maybe two more examples here. Something with like the Odin. Say, for example, it's the same thing where it's like if a target's jumping across your screen, you're going to want to be able to follow them because you're not going to one-hit them. But the last example would be like pistol rounds. So say, for example, on pistol rounds, there's a lot of movement going on. There's a lot of people running around and you're trying to like track your target and make sure that you hit your shot on these targets who are moving pretty quickly. And in that case, this is when an example like this tracking exercise might actually be pretty good. Because in this exercise, it looks like we have a gun and the target's going to be moving across our screen and we have to follow it with each bullet. We're not just going to kill it in one shot, right? We shoot it and then we have to shoot it 2 more times to kill it. So excuse my tracking. It's apparently pretty dog, especially when I'm talking. But you guys are getting the idea where it's like on a pistol round, this is around the same amount of bullets that's going to take to kill somebody on pistol round. You're like 1, 2, 3. Well, like with a classic, you headshot them for 78, and then maybe you body them, and then maybe they had armor, so you have to body them again. This is incredibly common. This happens a lot in your games. And now you guys are hopefully getting a good idea of why tracking might be important, in what situations you might want to have good tracking, and just in general why this is a skill that needs to be trained. Just similar as like a lot of people have always talked about how you don't want to, like, when you're working out for like bodybuilders and stuff like that, they don't want to necessarily neglect like other parts of their bodies because it's going to impact their lifts in like many different ways. There are lifts that use like the whole body at times, and I'm speaking kind of out of my comfort zone because I'm not a huge lifter. Obviously, I play Valorant. I'm a gamer, but like you just getting an idea how like it's important to train the whole spectrum. You don't want to just focus on flicking and only be really good at flicks because your tracking is going to make your flicks suffer in the end, right? It's going to affect everything as a whole. So it's going to affect your gameplay a lot throughout the course of the game. So if you want to become a better Valorant player, basically, you have to kind of hit all of the areas being like tracking, flicking. There's also different things that Aim Labs does with like perception and stuff like that. Where it's like, hey, like maybe you register different images over other ones. There's also things that they do where your flicks can be more precise because you're following like the most optimal route to the target. There's a lot of like, I don't know, there's a lot of information out there, and I think that these apps do a good job of like kind of teaching it to you. So if you're ever trying to like get better at the game, Aim Labs is a great way to help teach yourself some aim mechanics. Kovacs is a great way as well. Next, we're going to go into the range and talk about how you can aim train in the range and show some more real examples of this.